ups. We're just sharing thumbs up around here. We're here at Optimism Fractal's 19th meeting. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm here with Rosemary and Will and Seth and Abraham and Natalie and Tadas and Zaal, and we're about to play a respect game. We've also been talking about giving lots of thumbs up still. We've been talking all sorts of collaborations and cool things that people are up to, so we'll get to hear from everybody in the respect game. If anyone wants to share a quick hello or anything like that, then feel free to do so. And I'll also get into a presentation. So I suppose feel free if anyone wants to jump in now, but otherwise I'll jump into the presentation and give a little overview of what is Optimism Fractal and what we'll be doing today and so forth. Welcome to Optimism Fractal. You can learn more at optimismfractal.com. It's a community dedicated to fostering collaboration and awarding public goods creators on the optimism in the collective, in the superchain. We're creating an abundant future and amazing experience for all, and we host weekly events on Thursdays at 17 UTC, a recently changed time, and they provide a perfect place to network and make friends and collaborate with talented optimists and innovators. And invite you to join. Each week, what we do is we play a respect game. It's a profoundly helpful consensus game where participants share what they've been doing to help optimism, and we collaborate to rank each other's contributions. And then people who reach consensus receive a soulbound token called respect. We go into breakout rooms, so we'll do that shortly, and everybody will get a chance to speak and share their thoughts and play the game. And it's also a great place to promote your work too, because we produce videos of each weekly event as well, so everybody can watch to learn about optimism and learn about all the great things that people are doing in the optimism ecosystem to grow optimism and to achieve the optimistic vision. We have some links here where you can learn more about these things, and we also have tools built on the OP stack so that everybody can play these games with their communities and organizations as well. You can explore a lot more on the website. We also post weekly reminders on Farcaster and Twitter. For example, you can see some posts from Rosemary here congratulating the Optimism community on the 4844 upgrade and blobs, which made transactions much cheaper, and inviting everyone to connect. So encourage you to like and retweet on Twitter and on Farcaster and so forth, and invite friends. We love to meet new people, and we're making all sorts of cool stuff like the videos and so forth. So lots of cool stuff we can share, and we'll all be much better off when we are building together with optimism. Our events, like I said, every Thursday at 17 UTC. There was recently a switch in daylight savings for some people, so just be aware of the time that is coming up. And we did also recently change the time too. And then, like I said, there's videos every week. You can see it at optimismfractal.com/media. We recently released a video called Sage's Signal and Proposal 1, and we talked about how respect facilitates consensus. And so we played a respectful consensus game, and then the Optimism Fractal Sages Council, which just formed about a month or two ago, approved its first proposal, and we're exploring lots of interesting ideas about fractal cooperation and decision making and so forth. And you can go through here and see all the videos, although for some reason they're taking a little while to load right now, but there's lots more videos there as well on the YouTube channel. I also wanted to give a little overview too about the time change too, because I realized I forgot to do that last week's meeting. So I'll just take a minute to just explain how the community reached consensus to change time using this new kind of consensus process. So everybody can see it in the Discord. We post lots of messages, and we've also posted on the Optimism Governance Forum too. Basically, one of the main reasons why we changed was because the Optimism Grants Council office hours were at the previous time, and then we wanted to make sure that everybody can join both events easily. And we use Optimism Fractal's consensus process to make these changes to the time. And we can also use this for all sorts of other proposals as well. So that's why we changed. And I realized just last week I didn't provide a thorough explanation, because that's one of the really cool things about Optimism Fractal, that with respect, we can make these changes. So we have a consensus process at optimismfractal.com/details where it shows how people who have earned respect can make proposals or polls and then vote in the council or become a council member each week. So you can learn there. And basically somebody put up a proposal in the Optimism Fractal snapshot to change the time, and then people joined the council in week 17, and then we decided to change the time with a 4-5 vote there. So that's just a brief explanation of how that happened. And once again, you can watch these videos to see how that worked, and all of these should be able to see in video as well. Each video you can check out, and we have some cool intros and stuff as well too. So if anyone wants to make any proposals or polls to Optimism Fractal community and has any ideas about what to do or what would be helpful for you and your community, then feel free to let us know what you think, and always happy to hear your thoughts on the Discord and in the snapshot bowl. If anybody's not familiar with optimism, check out optimism.io. Optimism Collective is building a world that benefits all and owned by none. Really great stuff for builders and creators of all kinds, building a super chain ecosystem. Lots more you can learn, so check out optimism.io if you're not familiar with it. I highly recommend it. There's also RetroPGF with public goods funding coming up soon again, and Optimystics is the team that is the original creators of Optimism Fractal too. So encourage you to check out optimistics.io to learn more about our work, and we have lots of resources about optimism too. After the respect game, which will end in about 45 minutes at the top of the hour, for anybody who can stick stick around or wants to stick around, we have a planning session too. We're going to be hanging out for another half hour to just discuss anything related to Optimism Fractal and the future of it. So if you have any ideas about stuff you want to discuss in addition to after the respect game, then feel free to share them then. A lot of times we've been working out of the Optimism Fractal Notion page, which has a bunch of different projects and tasks related to things that we're working on, as well as different topics that we've been voting on too throughout the week too with Notion's upvote system. So feel free to let me know if you're not here and you want to link to it so you can explore and get involved. We have lots of great projects that we're working on out in the open here and lots of collaborative development happening. Last week we talked a little bit about creating potential referral system for Optimism Fractal. That was an interesting discussion. The video will be coming out soon. Actually, Rosemary shared it in the Discord. And then another thing we discussed too is recording breakout rooms, which isn't loading right now. But if anyone wants to record their breakout room, then please feel free. We're working on a process to do that as well. What we're going to do now, though, I know this has been a lot of information, so my apologies if it's been a bit overloading. We're going to play the respect game. So we're going to go into breakout rooms. I think everybody here is familiar with it. But basically, we're each going to go into the breakout room. Each person will take 3 or 4 minutes to share what they've been doing to help optimism, as well as just introduce themselves generally. And then we'll work to reach consensus on who helped the most, the second most, the third most, the fourth most, and so forth in each group. And then work on a app called Fractalgram to reach consensus and post on the OP mainnet. And you can learn more about this if you're not familiar with it at Optimistics.io respect game. We have some tutorial videos and some instructional pages here too. So hope that everybody enjoys earning respect and has a great time meeting, collaborating with people. We'll do 2 breakout rooms because we have 9 people here. Another thing that I meant to mention too is that if anyone wants to just expect to, that's okay too. But I encourage you to play and have fun with it. So I'll start the breakout room now and hope that everybody has an awesome time. Hey, hey. And so Natalie, the meeting, if you'd like to share anything, Natalie, or if anyone wants to go first.
That was my cats.
Uh,
Pressing the button.
Oh, okay. It looks like your cat wanted to share some thoughts, I guess. I vote to give respect to Natalie's cat. Just kidding. But I'm sure your cat's very respectful as well.
That's up for debate.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see what your cat is doing to contribute to optimism. Uh, but anyway, does anybody want to go first and share what they've been doing to help optimism? Or anybody else have anything you want to share or ask first? I know, Will, you're pretty new to the respect game, so if anything's not clear to you, then feel free to ask any questions or yeah, if anybody wants to go ahead and share some thoughts or start playing, then feel free. Good to see you, Tadas.
Well, not everybody at once. I mean, I'll tell you like historically what we've been doing on optimism. So, as a founder, it's very important for me to have very easy development toolkits. So we've been working with Third Web deploying ERC-1155s onto OP mainnet. Substantially, this ties into our non-monetary learn to earn program, where we're issuing ERC-1155s as a reward for participation on all of our broadcasts. And then we're awarding those on a monthly basis. And then additionally, we've done some ERC-7 1155s, no 721s as of yet, but that's coming soon. But ERC-1155s to show appreciation and support for people who have supported us in the last 2 cycles of Gitcoin Grants. 18 and 19. Right now, we have a challenge with uploading the metadata through Third Web for our February awards. So we're just working back with that team to get that sorted out for us so we can upload the images for those. And the contracts have already been deployed, but we need the metadata to be uploaded so we can award those to the recipient. So that's what we've been doing on OP mainnet since October. I know it's not like in the recent week, but we're looking for more exploratory ideas and concepts of how we can get more involved. So thanks for the time and appreciate the not taking up a lot of oxygen in this space.
Sounds good. Thank you very much. Well, very interesting to hear about the smart contracts and so forth that you're building and delivering. You do have still another like 3 minutes or so if you did want to go into more detail. Also, I know you joined and introduced Kingfisher's Media a little bit on the Eden Fractal meeting yesterday, but if you want to introduce it for the Optimism Fractal audience as well, about a bit more about your work in general. Or also another thing that I should have mentioned too is that if anyone wanted to share their screen too to give us a more visual overview of their work and show it off for the viewers, then you can feel free to do so as well. But if you want to pass it on, Will, then you can. But I'd suggest if you want to share more, then feel free. You can still do so for another couple minutes.
Yeah, I'll pass it on to someone else because I'm curious to see what other people are building on OP mainnet.
Okay, Sounds good. And would you like to pick somebody to go next, or would anybody else like to volunteer to go next?
I want to hear from Seth because I've got some people in my network that are up in his neck of the woods, outside of Eugene, Oregon. So
Oh,
Sounds good.
cool. Eugene's a great little town. Yeah, I can go. So yeah, I would say I've been sort of more exploring how to contribute to Optimism mainnet. So I'm not sure how much respect that connotates. But yeah, so I've been working on, I work on Source Cred mainly, which is a decentralized reputation system. I'm currently doing some research through a Gitcoin grant, um, looking at place-based reputation, which I'm calling place cred. And recently I have been kind of going down the rabbit hole of anonymous voting and anonymous feedback. And I see Optimism doing a lot of really interesting stuff there. I've been following in the governance forum some of the proposals around that, researching some of the technology a little bit. Also been looking at potentially integrating the eigentrust algorithm into Source Cred, which I know that I believe Optimism has looked into in the past, although I'm curious if anyone is doing current work on that. I would love to know. Yeah, also been thinking about just integrating doing this with something like the respect game potentially, because respect tokens are a nice strong signal, I think. And I'm very curious, actually, like not to make this market research, but like how people would feel about anonymously voting on each other based on their interactions here and the respect tokens or reputation scores derived from that. See a thumbs up, that's cool. Yeah, also like hung out with Hodl the other day and was picking his brain about Optimism Fractal and the community here and what community means here. Still like a little vague to me. It's a kind of novel way to create community. Yeah, and yeah, also just thinking about how like on-chain integration might work, right? Because reading scores on chain, reading data on chain is obviously has a lot of advantages, and also if you can calculate reputation on chain with eigentrust, that's low enough computation that you could actually do it on chain, and things could get really interesting. So yeah, I feel like I'm like just kind of rambling a little bit here, so I will see the minute and a half I have left. Thanks.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Seth. And no problem at rambling at all. It's great to hear. Well, first off, I should say I didn't think you were rambling at all, and it's fascinating to hear all the things you're working on. So I really appreciate it. And as I said before we start recording, I looked into Source Credit. I think you're doing really exciting work. So much appreciate you sharing your thoughts with us. And yeah, I'd be happy to me or and I'm sure other people would also probably be happy to share more about the Optimism Fractal community and what it means. And I'm glad you're speaking about that, Hadlan. And then all the eigen stuff that you're talking about. I've done some research and interested to see where you're going with that. And then also the voting with privacy and stuff like that. I'd be interested to hear more about your ideas about that. We've thought about similar stuff as well. So sounds like really great ideas. If you wanted to respond a bit to any of that stuff, then happy to hear your thoughts because you still have a minute and 30 seconds left. Or if you want to pick somebody to go next, then feel free.
Yeah, so I still have 30 seconds on the timer. Yeah, I would love to chat about um, your ideas around this stuff. And let's see, how about Natalie next?
Thank you. Come on down, Natalie. Um, nice to be here with all of you. This last time I came for the first time and it was amazing. I've been working too much in the last week. I look forward to my break over the weekend. And so one Pizza Dao, I lead social impact at Pizza Dao, and so we're currently gearing up to do our pizza parties for a Bitcoin Pizza Day. And so just was working on the grant thing for Optimism to figure that out. And so I think we spent like $9,000 at Eth Denver. And so our pizza parties are wild and costly, but we're able to onboard massive amounts of people over the last 3 years. And so it's been amazing. Pizza brings people together. I'm also working on a public goods funding platform for creatives and social impact projects. And so I finally found a dev and an intern dev. And so I'm going to see how this goes. We're going to build on Optimism and eventually cross-chain just to make it more accessible to different communities. And so that's going to be a way to like onboard creatives. I think to date we've through one of our communities, a small group of us onboarded like 70,000 people to like the blockchain. And so it's just an extension of my work around onboarding and educating people. And artists are often on the front lines of that. And so we found some really good devs. I'll probably be looking for some more because some of the mechanics got to make them less complicated. But I'm really excited about finally getting this off the ground. I've been navigating a lot of issues around that for the last year. And then, yeah, and so it's a lot of things going on at one time. And then also, yeah, I think that's, on the 27th of March, I'll be hosting a Twitter space around grants and funding. I've been stewarding a bunch of grants across the ecosystem, but if anyone at Optimism is familiar with the process of applying or navigating that, we're happy to have you as a guest. We're mainly going to have a bunch of like artists and creatives there, and that's what it's primarily geared towards, although anybody's welcome. And so I've been hosting Twitter spaces and Clubhouse rooms for the last 3 years straight, and so should be a good turnout, and a lot of people are really interested. And I put a tweet on Twitter and I got a lot of responses and a lot of DMs that I can't keep up with. And so I'm happy to bring that to people who may not be familiar with Optimism and even other like funding sources. And so I'm going to pump out a flyer soon, hopefully in the next few days over the weekend. And so just to galvanize people and bring a lot of community in to ask questions and so they know what's happening and that they can apply for these opportunities. That is it. A lot of stuff going on.
It sounds like it. Well, thanks so much, Natalie. That sounds like a lot of awesome work. As I read in the chat too, I think you mentioned it a little bit there, where you're working on a public goods project, and it's really interesting to hear about it on, well, it seems like several different public goods projects, but there's that one that you did the mission for. So it was great hearing from you there too. And if you want, you still have a minute to speak and share more, or if you want, then you can pass it on.
Yeah, I'm happy to pass it on. I'm a fan of just getting straight to the point, and if we have extra time, people can ask questions. And if not, like I'm happy to pass the torch to Tadas or whoever wants to go. I always love hearing from you. So yeah, I'll cede my time.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Natalie. And yeah, if anybody has any questions for anybody, maybe write them down after everybody goes before we reach consensus, then feel free to ask then. And thanks so much, Natalie. Do you want to go next to us?
Okay, I can go next. Yeah, so for those who see me for the first time, I'm a developer, one of the team members of Optimystics, a team which developed this first version of Optimism Fractal. And yeah, I developed smart contracts in particular for this, and Fractalgram app, which we are going to use to reach consensus here. Yeah, and this first version is very, like, not very far from the kind of version we hope to develop here. So, for example, respect has to be distributed manually, and with respect game process using Fractalgram can be improved and so on. So, one of the things I thought a lot this week was how to basically how to build how we are going to build the next version of these software tools we are using here in Optimism Fractal. There are a couple of options. For example, one is there are fractals in other blockchains, like for example on EOS, and there is a project which already has much more feature complete fractal app developed. It's all in one package, and there is an option for us to take at least the front end from that app and repurpose it for UVM. So one of the things I did, I participated in a demo meeting of this fractal app, just trying to figure out if we could use it. Another option is that we can build it from scratch. In that case, we need to decide on a scope for this RPGF season. So I'm considering a couple of different designs in case we do build it from scratch. Well, not totally from scratch, but if we build on it on top of what we already have, for example. Yeah, but we probably will have to build the front end from scratch anyway. So yeah, another few things I did, I distributed respect for last week and this week. We also hosted first respect game meeting for Optimystics team, and it's in general, this is first respect game in a lot of ways. So first respect game for a small team like this. One of our ideas is that this respect game could be used not just for this kind of a community where anyone can join, but also for a close team focused on particular project, like our Optimystics team. This could be useful, for example, so the team does not have to make upfront decisions about roles or upfront decisions about how we are going to distribute any funding. You start simply playing respect game every week, like a kind of a stand-up meeting with it first, and you can bootstrap all kind of governance process based on that. So we are starting. We thought that the best way to develop that kind of process for others is for us to try to use it and learn what's needed, what needs to be improved. So we are starting this, and it's also first time we did try a synchronous type of respect game. Asynchronous meaning that it's instead of holding a meeting like this to play the respect game, we do it over chat over the week. There are trade-offs, but we are experimenting basically. There are benefits in some cases doing it this way. Yeah, and that's all from me this week. Dan?
Sounds great. Thanks so much, Das. I'm having a little issue right now where my browser that I usually use to share my screen, it's like freezing up. So maybe if anybody wants to just like if anybody has any questions or anything you want to share, or anybody wants to give a bit more like detail about anything, then feel free. And I'm gonna I just restarted the browser, so I should be ready to share it in like a moment. My apologies. But yeah, it was awesome doing the asynchronous respect game, and I think everything's loading for me now, so I can go ahead. Okay, I'll just go for it. I've been working on a lot of similar stuff that Tadas has been working on this week. We've been going back and forth in a chat pretty often. And we're excited about this new app as well. So I'll go ahead and share what I've been doing to help out with the Optimism superchain. And as a note too, I think there's a couple people who are saying like contributions to the OP mainnet, but Optimism is like Optimism put out a blog post, Optimism Foundation, recently, and they talked about how Optimism it's more than just the OP mainnet, it's really the superchain. So if anybody's contributing to any other thing other than the OP mainnet, that's also a very welcome contribution to Optimism Fractal, as well as just like Ethereum in general. You know, Optimism is part of Ethereum ecosystem, so feel free if anybody wanted to add anything else that they've been working on in addition to these things. But yeah, I've been working a lot with Optimistics on building like the infrastructure next steps for Optimism Fractal. Well, I put together this database last week where as Tadas said, we did the asynchronous the first asynchronous respect game, and we've been doing this in a private chat with Fractogram. And I put together, I didn't update this for the past few days, but I have a couple like updates about things I did for promotions and marketing for this week. I help out with and provide a lot of feedback for the thumbnail and the promotions for each week's events, and I work closely with Rosemary on that. And then I also worked on a project to update the Optimism Fractal and Optimistics websites too, to give it kind of a new brand, and had an idea about updating the logo and different things like that. I've also been working a lot with people behind the scenes to expand the usage of the Respect game as well, and build out the software, and working with communities who are interested in building these kind of things, as well as lots of different technical projects too. I don't know if this is the best way to show it here, but I have a lot of windows opened up here, so maybe I'll go through some of these that are important here. Like I brought some ideas about considering deploying the Optimistics Fractal on base, and went back and forth with Tadas about that. And I've been working on work with a lot of developers and different tools in the background to figure out what will be helpful for us. So I'll go here and share, like, for example, I was working on this thumbnail with Rosemary and the promotional messages around it. So lots of stuff to make it as like exciting as possible for people, and tell a great story about Optimism Fractal and all the great stuff we're doing with the video production as well as the videos as well. And then I don't have to show you this one, but we're just planning to make the website optimized for mobile, and some other things that could be improved. I had lots of thoughts that I shared with Tadas and the team about how the asynchronous game can be improved. So I won't go into detail here, but there's a lot of different ideas here about, I think it could be a really big app that people could play the Respect game asynchronously, basically. So I had ideas, happy to share more detail about that, about how we can refine and make it as helpful as possible. And I was pretty active on social media too. I put out a bunch of tweets, the ones that I reviewed with Rosemary, and then some other ones I just put up there as well to help promote the videos that we're sharing for Optimism Fractal, as well as for Eden Fractal as well, and help spread the word for everybody. So lots of cool stuff that we're doing to get the word out. And here's where I was saying that my pages are taking a while to load. But this one is loaded. This is the Fractal app website that I put together last week. So I wouldn't count this necessarily for my contributions this week. I did a lot of work on it last week though. And in previous weeks where people didn't learn about the app that we're building, I've just been trying to like explain it to people. So I'm showing different videos that we have and explanations of it and so forth. And then I've been working a lot to help build this and help play a supportive role to attract more developers or attract more funding and so forth to do so. Oh, another thing I can say too, now that he's loaded, is that I'm constantly updating the Optimism Fractal projects thing in Notion as well, so that people can see different projects that are working on. I'm just kind of trying to always organize them and clean them better. So this week I added some ideas about improvements to a respect issuance curve, with some ideas that were previously shared about this, that I talked about with another person who's interested in this, and different room sizes and stuff like that. So just always adding more information that can be generally used for the community or the people who are interested in these kinds of things, and trying to figure out how to make the Optimism Fractal web app easier to use with Privy, as well as also making it easier for people to interact with the Notion and eventually apps like Charmverse as well. I can't see my timer, so I'm probably going a bit over time, so I'll try to wrap it up in the next minute. I put together a project to build this app, and then I shared it with the Optimistics team. I'll probably share it with the general Optimism Fractal community as well, but then have a bunch of tasks here that are related to building this app to try to organize our work there. And I'm considering reaching out to a team called Sync, which I put together like pretty lengthy draft proposal here. They've been building a front end, and they're a very well-resourced team that came up with a lot of the ideas here. So I'm thinking about reaching out to them and planning out how we could best do that, so we can maybe have their support with this. And I've also been meeting with the team from Hats Protocol too, because I think that could be really well integrated into the Respect game and so forth, where people can do cool stuff with Respect. So I had a meeting with them, and then I also followed up with a pretty long, detailed message too about all the cool stuff that we're doing, or some cool stuff that they were particularly interested in. In addition, I also met up with some people that I met at Eth Denver. I met up with Jimi, who's the tree planting world record holder, and he's the leader of Let's Grow in Tree Gens, all about regen stuff. And I met with Will at Eden Fractal too, and several other people. I host a meeting each week on Wednesdays. Everybody's welcome to join, where we're refining these fractal decision-making process, like the Respect game, and we're producing videos there. And then I also met with a representative from LivePeer and talked about how we can use decentralized video protocol into the Respect game app as well. And then I'm also working in the background on making a mission for the Optimism Fractal Grants Council, whereby we can create courses and have reward mechanisms for people who participate in fractal meetings. My apologies if I went overtime there. I probably went like a minute or two over, and everybody went short. So sorry for speaking if I spoke a bit too long, but hopefully it was interesting for you all. And we can also now that everybody's gone, if anybody wants to share more, I know a lot of people didn't go for the full time. So if anybody had anything else you remembered that you want to share, then feel free. Or if anybody has any questions or comments for anybody, then now's also a great time for that. And we can also start up the Fractogram app. I don't know if you've created that yet, Dots. If you want to create that, or you want me to create it.
I have a question. Where did you meet Jimmy at when you were in Denver? What event?
I met Jimi, I saw him at a couple of events. I saw him at Green Pill event, and but then we actually started speaking. Well, we spoke at once at the Edge City for a little while, and we were just joking around with a big group there. And then we spoke for a while in front of the Live Peer booth because he's also working with Live Peer, and I was asking all sorts of questions with the Live Peer guys, and so that's where we connected and decided to exchange numbers and like our numbers, exchange telegrams, and meet up. And then we met up on a Zoom call a couple days ago.
Very cool.
Hmm. Yeah, he's doing amazing stuff, and
No, he is. He's part of our ecosystem, and then he and I are two of the 9 core founders of the Let's Grow DAO. So that was a collaborative effort that we did to cover and highlight projects and founders of projects and communities as part of GG19. So
okay, very cool. And I'm sorry if I misrepresented, by the way. I might have said that he's the founder by accent, but yeah, he told me it was a collaborative effort, and he was one of the founders. So thanks so much for starting that, Will. And
yeah,
I
no
think
worries.
cool. Well, yeah, I listened to Twitter Space the other day for the first time. I'm going to join more of them, and it was super exciting. So I love the work that you and Jimmy and everyone's doing there, and excited to collaborate.
Likewise.
I
Nice.
shared the link to Telegram group in the chat where we can reach consensus in the Zoom chat.
Thank you, Tadas.
Meanwhile, I have a question for Natalie. Can you enlighten me about the pizza parties, pizza DAOs?
Pizza Dao. Oh yeah, sorry, I'm eating ice cream at 10 o'clock in the morning. So I'm crunching. Pizza Dao started 3 years ago. And basically we met in a room. There was no title on Clubhouse, and we're like, we're gonna throw a pizza. Everybody was in there talking about pizza, and like, what if we use NFTs to have a pizza party, but it was just for us, not for everybody in the world. And that eventually spun out into 300 artists picking toppings, everything from pepperoni to fingers, and I'm Peas, and we all go by nicknames of our topping. And so we paid 300 artists to do the toppings, and we kind of glued them all together, and the NFT was like a mismatch of all the toppings, random toppings. And so we used the money from that treasury. I think it was like $1 million or something crazy at that time. And we've been using the money for the last 3 years to throw pizza parties across the globe. And we onboard a bunch of people at these parties. We have Ninja Turtles, and some people do live art there. And we hosted one at Eth Denver, and we've had parties in Uganda and all kinds of Russia, all kinds of places. And so over the last 3 years, and so it's just a great way to onboard people, and it's fun, and it's not like people sitting in a Zoom listening to a long lecture. And so yeah, so that's the pizza parties, and we do it every Bitcoin Pizza Day, May 22nd. And we also have pizza parties throughout the year.
Cool. Where were those NFTs deployed?
They were at the time, well, this is like OG, not super OG, but OG Ethereum. So we just put them on OpenSea at the time. That's kind of like all we had. So
Okay, thanks.
but
Very
hopefully we'll deploy something new. So yeah.
I have a question for Natalie, if I may ask it.
Mhm.
Sure.
Are you guys going to be having a pizza party around Dev Connect in Brussels? Because there's another group that's doing something similar that's home based in Brussels, and I'd love to connect you with them.
I know we're doing something at DevCon, which is a while away, but I would love to connect with them, and if we can, we'd love to collaborate. That's very big. We're very big on that, and so I would love to connect with them and bring some pizza parties.
Sounds good. Thanks for spreading the pizza and the vibes, Natalie. Appreciate it. And yeah, hopefully we'll get more pizza going around the super chain as well. I'm sure we will.
Today's Pi Day, by the way.
Yes, that's right. It's fitting. And Will was just saying that before we started recording. Okay, very cool. Well, But by the way, I don't think most people have joined the Telegram group that Tadas shared. So if you could, Tadas just shared a link in the Zoom chat. If you click on that and it opens up Telegram, then oh, actually, all right. So we all have joined there actually. So all five of us there, and we're just waiting on Tadas to put out the prompt for our accounts. And then once, yep, Tadas just did it. If you could reply with your Optimism account to this, then it will make it work with Factogram. And while everyone's doing that, if anybody else had any other thoughts you want to share or questions like that, then feel free. We do only have 15 minutes left, so we should be pretty quick in reaching consensus. And Natalie, if you could please make sure that when you share the account, it's as a
I was just doing
reply.
that, I forgot.
Yeah, it's a little tricky like that.
My brain, y'all just gonna have to forgive me every week when my brain is booting up at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, all good, no problem at all. But if you could just do it and just do another message, because as it is, it won't work right now. It just needs to be done with the reply. There we go. Okay, cool. Okay, and Tadas put out the poll. Who you think should be ranked as level 6? Here's where we have some tough decisions. Okay, so it looks like there's 1 vote for Will from Tadas, 2 votes for Seth from SB. I'm not sure whose account is SB? Is that Natalie, I guess? Oh no, Natalie's there. SB Seth.
That's me.
I'm sorry, that's
Yeah.
obvious. That's who could be
Yeah.
SB? Could it be Seth B? I'm sorry. And 1 vote from Will for Seth, or so it's 2 votes for Seth total, and 2 votes for Tadas and me and Natalie. Does anybody want to advocate either way or share their thoughts, or because we don't have consensus right now, so we need to reach 4 to 5 consensus, and so far we have 2 votes for anybody at the most.
I feel Tadas has done more than me, definitely. So I would advocate more votes to myself for 6.
Oh, just by the way, in case it's not clear, 6 is the top level. So who do you think did the most this week?
Oh shit, I was
Yes.
confused about that. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Sorry, I should
was
explain that in more
too.
detail.
I
Okay.
I am sorry. I like yeah, okay, I'm changing mine. Can I change it?
Yes,
Yeah.
to change it, you can right click
Okay.
on it, or if you're on a mobile, then hold down and hit retract vote.
Okay.
Yeah, so we have a couple little. I've been thinking at some point we should just call it first place to make it simpler, but we call it level 6 for reasons that might be outdated now. Okay, and so now Seth changed to Tadas, but Tadas still only has 3 votes, and Will and me, I have a vote now. I don't know if I had a vote before. And Will and me both have 1 vote, and Tadas 1 vote. Tadas, if you want to change to yourself, then you can, or if anyone wants to advocate either way, then we can also switch to somebody else as well.
Okay, for the sake of consensus, I switched.
Okay,
So, thank you.
you're welcome.
Yeah. I'm voting for Will because it seems that he's deploying. He involved in development of apps on the OP mainnet, which yeah, not all contributors here do, but seems serious enough, even though I did not understand everything he talked about.
Okay, there's still 1 person who hasn't yet voted. I don't think that Will has expressed a vote yet for who should be level 5.
Yeah, so level 5 is second biggest contributor.
Yes, that's right. And I think Will just did. So now There's 1 vote for Will from Tadas. There's 3 votes from me, from Will, Natalie, and Seth, and there's 1 vote for Seth from me. So I could also switch to make consensus work. I voted for Seth because I mean I looked into Seth's work with Source Cred like a month or 2 ago when he joined, and I thought it was really cool and really helpful for like evaluating impact, and also the fact that he's doing it with like communities at events, from what I understand too. And I don't know like all the details, but it just seemed like a really exciting project, and so I'm looking forward to collaborating. And I appreciate that you're speaking with Hotline, getting really into the details of Optimism Fractal and how it can work with the things that you're working on too. I know you said it's not directly on Optimism or OP mainnet right now, I think, or maybe it is to some extent, but I think that's really cool. So I'd be happy. I'd be happy to change myself if that would help. Or I think Tadas also made a great point about Will too. Will joined the Eden Fractal meeting yesterday, and he helped lead the conversation. And contribute a lot, as well as all the great work he's been doing, like Tadas said, deploying contracts and educating regen. I had the chance to listen to that too. So if anybody wants to switch based on that, I just really appreciate what everybody's doing here, as well as Natalie, of course, too. But I'm also happy to switch to myself if it would help us reach consensus quicker, and we only have about 10 minutes left.
Yeah, I super appreciate the vote of confidence. Also, like the amount of concrete work I've done pales in comparison to what you've done, Dan. So, yeah, I would still advocate for Dan as much as I appreciate it.
Okay, well, thank you, Seth. And it looks like somebody else just switched over to me too. So it looks like I had consensus there. So thanks all, appreciate it a lot. And now we're on level 4. Okay, and once again, we don't have full consensus. Seth has 3 votes from me, Will, Natalie, and Will has 1 vote from Tadas, and Natalie has 1 vote from Seth. Does anybody want to, Seth, if you wanted to change your vote to yourself, then you could have level 4, or does anybody want to advocate either way?
I voted for Seth because I think Source Cred is a very important emphasis in this, especially since a lot of the conversations I'm involved in are around representation of not only reputation on chain, but digital identity on chain. I feel that Gitcoin Passport has done a good job, but we need a wider variety of these types of solutions. So that's my advocacy for Seth.
What will say?
I feel that this is like Optimism Fractal trying to like suck me in, and my avoidance side is like, well, hey, let's not commit to respect for, but like I do totally appreciate that. So I'll take 4 if people want to give it to me.
Okay, sounds good. Well, you can switch your vote, and I'll respect his appreciation too. So, of course, there's no need to like further contribute. And if you're very busy with other stuff, then no need to feel like just because you earn respect, you have to get sucked in like that. But we really appreciate your work, and so just want to give you respect for it.
Appreciate it. Also, I'm just totally avoidant. I'm super into Optimism Fractal, so yeah, looking forward to keep talking.
Okay, awesome. Well, glad to hear. I really appreciate your enthusiasm. And looking forward as well. Yeah, you said that before, but I'd be happy if you did want to like schedule a call or anything like that at some point to get in more detail, or we could talk about it in the planning session or whatever is good for you, or over chat. Okay, and now the vote for level 3 is up. So far, there's been 4 people who have voted, and I think we're missing up. So okay, now so we have 2 votes for Natalie at level 3 from Seth and Will, and 3 votes for Will from me, Tadas, and Natalie. Would anybody like to share their thoughts, their rationale?
You know what? I would like to see this to Will. Will, I think you've done I think you're downplaying yourself. I'm gonna just keep it funky, as I always say. You do a lot of stuff in the space, and I'm just gonna advocate for you in all the ways. So, words can't explain. And so I think I would like you to take this, Will. Thank you. Just saying.
I'll graciously and humbly accept part of my emphasis that I've, operated in the space with for a very long time. Over 3.5 of the 4 years I've been here is to spotlight and promote other people. But I have learned recently how to graciously and humbly accept compliments. So thank you for that, Natalie. I appreciate it.
All right, sounds great. Lots of grace we got going on here. Thanks so much, Will, and thanks so much, Natalie. Will has consensus now for level 3, and that means Natalie gets level 2. And also, yeah, I just want to say, I think I said before, but I really appreciate what everybody's doing. I think it's amazing. I know Natalie, I was in her room last week and she got level 6. So like I think what Natalie's doing is really, really exciting and looking forward to collaborate. But also I really love what Will is doing too. So just want to say thank you all. I really appreciate it. And everybody can now submit their results. So if you click the button that says here, and
Okay, I'm having
yeah,
the same problems. Like something's wrong with my MetaMask. It's broken. I've had a lot of problems in the last month or so, but just letting you know that it never works on my end. So.
sorry about that. I know Tadas has been working on the he made some updates to the smart contract, and or also I know Tadas was making some updates or questions about the front end. We do have some difficulties with a couple little bugs and stuff there, I think.
I think it's me, not Tadas.
What does it show some kind of error?
What it shows, and it does to me all the time. Hold on, now let me click. It says when I click what is going on? Failed to load load web3. And I'm already logged into MetaMask or whatever. And then it says now it won't give me the other message, so I can't remember, but it says failed to load web3. So I can't log in. And if I did press submit, theoretically, and it worked, it would say blockchain not ready.
Hmm.
And no, go ahead, Tadas. I know you're troubleshooting. I just wanted to ask a quick question. So we're free to post these on our socials, yeah?
Post what in the socials, like the ranks you mean, or what? Or
Like
videos?
that we participated in this, because there's the share button after you submit.
No, it's
Um,
that share button currently just copies the link to this page basically to submit.
Oh, okay. Okay, got it.
that is a cool idea, though. I hadn't thought about that. I mean, of course, you are welcome to share it in any way you want, Will, and we'd appreciate that. We love to spread the word, and can also earn more respect by helping spread the word. But yeah, we should also build in like a thing that people can click on right after they reach consensus, and that they could post to make like a nice message to their fans and followers. I think that'd be great, and friends.
Yeah, the spec game app that I'm thinking of would allow to submit to all kinds of platforms, social media, different blockchains. I think the ultimate respect game app should be blockchain agnostic even, and platform agnostic.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. It's great to plug into Optimism and Superchain and other Web3 networks, but having it where you can plug in anywhere would be nice so people can play the respect game wherever they are, and then be able to share it on social media. I think that could be like a really great growth mechanism. We have to wrap up this room in a couple minutes. Curious if everybody was able to reach consensus. I also put the code. There's a hash that's auto-generated by the fractalgram, or I suppose by the web app, AC3B 1197. So you should have seen that when you submitted it. So we can head back to the community, or I know the other room is ready to go back now. Was everybody able to reach consensus other than Natalie? Able to submit it on chain?
I was very cool. I like this. And I like the new fee structure with blobs. It's amazing.
Yes, go Blobs. Makes it way cheaper.
So I think I was able to submit it on chain, but the still have the pop-up window to push it on chain. So I'm not sure if it actually was published on chain.
Yeah, we are fixing that. It should in the future version it should remove a modal, but it should right now it should show transaction submitted at least at the bottom right corner after successful submission. But
Yeah,
I can check in a block explorer if you already submitted.
I'm not seeing that. Is there any issue if I submit it twice, or should I look for it in
No.
Block Explorer?
It's not an issue. Apart that you wasted a bit more fees, but it's a couple of dozens of cents, so not much.
You can
yeah.
also check your transaction history in your MetaMask as well, Seth.
Yeah, let me just do that.
Yeah, the notification that it went through only shows up for like, I think 5-10 seconds and it goes away on the actual app. So lots of little improvements we will make over time to this experience.
Interesting. It said unapproved, and so I just clicked submit again. It's possible that was just user error, but it says it's pending now. So
Okay, sounds good. We're at the top of the hour, so we should head back to the community room now. Thanks everybody so much for all the awesome work and the great respect game, and we'll go back there, and then we'll have the planning session for another half hour for anybody who can stick around. All right, and welcome back. The other room will be here shortly. Not much has changed so far, other than the order of people on my screen.
So from our room, everyone submitted. Not everyone, but at least 4 people, so that's enough.
Okay.
From other room, not yet.
Okay, well, they'll be there shortly, so we can ask them at then. And yeah, hopefully we can get that figured out for you, Natalie, so we'll be able to post on chain without any issue. One thing that might work is if you bribe Tadas with pizza. I heard he can make sure it gets fixed and working well then.
Oh, I can make that happen. As long as you don't like pineapple on your pizza, I can make it happen.
I
Okay.
actually got a text message during this call from my local pizza shop that I contribute to, and they're like, enjoy 31.4% off pizza day to celebrate Pi Day.
Okay, that's a good it seems like that pizza shop knows how to promote. Going with the daily trends. Makes me kind of want some pie. All right, welcome back. Welcome back to Rosemary and Zaal. I guess there's 2 other people in your room too. I think Abraham and Hadlan were there too. Do they need to go, or are they going to be
Yeah,
joining
they
us shortly?
needed to go
Okay, cool. Hope you
join
enjoyed.
another meeting.
Okay. Hope you enjoyed your meeting. And we were able to reach consensus. Everything was good. I see Zal's unmuted, so if you want to share anything, Zal,
Yeah, I
then
was just gonna say we reached consensus pretty fast, and then we were just chatting about what we're all doing. And then they had to take off just before. So, yep, no, it was a good solid meeting. We all contributed a lot of different things in different ways, which is always really cool.
excellent. Awesome to hear. Really cool. All right. So we're at the planning session of the meeting, planning session portion of the event. And so thanks everybody. Hope you had a fun time at the respect game. Sounds like everybody did. And now we'll be here for another 27 minutes or so to discuss anything related to Optimism Fractal. If anybody needs to go, then feel free, of course. But thanks everybody so much for joining, and hope that you will be inspired to keep playing the respect game and joining and helping out Optimism in the future. I guess I'll just share the screen real quick just to show this is over now at this current time, and what we're now doing is the Optimism Fractal planning session, basically dedicated to brainstorming, coordinating, creating the future of Optimism Fractal. Or if anybody just has anything generally related to optimism that you want to discuss, then feel free. And yeah, we're thinking about we thought a lot about making like some sort of game, consensus game or a process to choose topics. And we do have one where people could just make proposals to the council or put up a poll in Snapshot, but we still haven't really formally defined that. So these are kind of just like kind of chill brainstorming sessions now, where we just discuss whatever we want. And if it's helpful, then we could use the Notion page. I'm happy to share this in the Discord or Telegram or not Telegram, Zoom chat if anybody wants to get involved here. If anybody's not a member of this but wants to write here, I can, if you PM me your email or something like that, then I can give you write access on there. As it is, you can just read it. Maybe I'll just share it in the Zoom chat for anybody who wants to look through it. And then there's lots of projects and tasks, like I said before. And then what we did past weeks was we went through this topics and we went upvote topics, or we kind of just brought up some different things. Like last week, Rosemary just brought up the idea of having a referral system for people who invite people. So if we want, we can continue that discussion. Or if anybody else has anything on their mind, there's a few different things that I could bring up and share with the community and see what everybody thinks. But I'm not in any rush or have any like main priorities to discuss, and nobody's proposed a topic. So it's kind of open floor. If anybody has anything that you want to discuss, ask about Optimism Fractal or something that you'd like to explore that helps create the future of Optimism Fractal and helps grow optimism, then would love to hear it. And I suppose I'll
I
stop
think
this.
it might be cool to yeah, if you're gonna stop the recording, go for it. But I think it might be cool to uh implement a different, maybe it's not called respect, but a different kind of token specifically for people that have invited people. I think that could be pretty cool. It could, I mean, then you're not changing what the respect token means, but you're just adding different types of tokens that mean different kinds of respect, right? This could be the on-chain respect from the respect game. The other one could be respect from inviting people, whatever it may be called. But I think that would be a solid way to go about doing something like that, is splitting it up. And I definitely think it's a good idea, because then you can kind of see on chain a kind of list of who's kind of the web of how people have invited people. It could be a really cool way to see the data later.
Yeah, very interesting. Thanks, all. I had thought about that. But yeah, we could have different kinds of respect tokens or call them different things that could could for sure be useful in impact evaluation. And then at a later time too, the Optimism Fractal Council could decide what to do with those things if the Optimism Fractal community did want to use that to say, hey, we think that people should earn more from RPGF, for example, if they earned a lot of these invitation kind of points or something like that. And I see Natalie also wrote, could it be something more like a POAP, which auto-correct keeps changing to SOAP? Wow. Token, question mark.
Nope.
So, yeah, soap. Yeah, I realized as I was reading it, but it kind of sounds funny to pronounce soap like soap. So, um, it could be. So a POAP, for anybody who's not familiar, a POAP for anybody who's not familiar, it's a NFT. So it still is a token, a POAP. It's just a non-fungible token. Whereas another interesting thing about the respect too is the respect token is both a fungible token and it's a non-fungible token, and it's non-transferable. So it shows up both as an NFT, and we're working on making that more visually easy to see and stuff like that in like OpenSea or other kinds of NFT platforms, and it's also an ERC-20, so you can just see the number too. Tadas had a really interesting design there. But yeah, maybe we could have something like POAP as well. I think POAP has a great platform, and it makes it really easy for people to use, and also it looks really, really nice. So that could be a cool thing to do, like award POAPs to people who invite people to join the events. And also maybe the idea that Zaal shared too. Another question here is too, like Tadas had mentioned after Rosemary brought this up about well, it's one thing to say let's do it, but then it's another thing to build it too. So, and we have limited amount of resources in terms of like how much time developers can devote towards it. POAPs are pretty simple to use. It would just take some research to do. But for any of these things, we need to consider how much time we have to develop it, and then where we are on the priority list. But I think maybe I'll just go ahead and just share my screen again real quick because there's something I wanted to share, and at the same time, I can also kind of relay this into another point too that I think is helpful to make here. So for one thing, I wanted to put it out. Rosemary had shared this in the chat. Hadlan had made a new proposal or a new registration poll for joining the Week 20 Council. So if anyone wants to participate in the council, I see Rosemary, Hadlan, and Zaal already said yes here. And the way this works is that up to 6 people can join the council, and whoever registers each week, if there's more than 6 registrants, then whoever has the most respect, the top 6 people with the most respect will go into the council, and then they can express community opinions and help make decisions for Optimism Fractal collectively with 4 to 6 consensus or 66% consensus, whatever that is. So if anyone wants to participate in the council for this upcoming week, then actually, no, this would be for next week. We've already decided the council for last week, for this week, because that poll just ended as of like an hour or two ago. And the current council members now are me, Rosemary, Tadas, Zaal, and Abraham. So if anybody did want to make a proposal, say this week, for using POAPs or integrating some sort of other referral system or anything else that comes to mind, then feel free to make a proposal on the Optimism Fractal snapshot, which you can do by hitting new proposal here and then typing in and so forth, and then probably sharing our Discord so everybody can just see the proposal there and vote on it and discuss it. And then, yeah, if you want to participate in the next week's council that'll be activating on next Monday, then hit vote here or hit yes and then hit vote. And then you'll be joining that council if you are in the top 6 people with respect who have joined there. So everybody who's in respect can do both of these things, and encourage you to do so, get more involved with helping to lead the future of Optimism Fractal with this consensus process, as well as making proposals and voting on proposals and so forth. And then another thing I wanted to say too, just in relation to the referral system, is one of the top projects that we have, and maybe it should be the top project, I know it's something that Tadas added, was a system for prioritizing tasks. I'm kind of losing it right now. It's somewhere up here. If I search over here for priority, it'd probably come up pretty easily. But basically, that's one of the things that we're wondering, and we talked about having something called OPF trees. For some reason, it's not typing in. I don't know if we retitled or something like that. Or maybe just called create tools and processes to track projects and tests for OP Fractal. Maybe somebody retitled that. And we talked about using a system called respect trees here, which could be like a way to vote with respect on what should we do, what should we prioritize and focus our time on, and therefore also because we're working in Optimism, there's RPGF coming up with a lot of retroactive public goods funding. Perhaps what could Optimism Fractal signal as things that would be helpful to reward if somebody were to do this? Then we could say, hey, Optimism Collective, we think that X person or team or teams or people should earn funding by doing this thing. So just something I wanted to add, because I think all these discussions about the referral system are great, but also there's lots of other projects that we already have that we've already discussed, and lots of other things that I'm sure that we haven't thought about yet that might be good to consider as well. And having a foundational conversation about like, okay, well, what is the priority of these things that could be helpful to do so as well as also have the consensus process each week if people want to help make these decisions or anything like that. So I know that's kind of a lot of information. Does anybody else have any more thoughts about the referral system or about anything I shared there, or anything else on your mind? We still have about 20 minutes left in this planning session, and it's kind of open to discussion.
About the POAP thing. I wish there was like a OP native like POAP thing, and I get that developers only have a finite amount of time to like work on the things. So, but in the future that while I like POAP, they're ridiculously slow, and they've gotten a little bit worse over the time. But as a temporary thing, because when you, just my perspective and being a little bit of a governance nerd, it's like when you have a bunch of like types of different tokens, people could often like get confused as to like what they're used for, their utility, whether it's like a governance token or whether they can cash in on this token. And so as a simplification, the POAP just says, hey, like I invited 5 people to sorry. the animation always makes me laugh. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It's kind of like Kitty a little bit.
Yeah.
But like I'm a big ass kid. So so having the POAP say Zaal invited 50 million people to the Optimism Fractal call, or it could be just like this person invited people to this call for like this week. It's an interesting thing to explore, but I think POAPs are kind of a low hanging fruit, and like I could spin up POAPs like really quickly. That's probably why I'm shoving it out there. But it's so yeah, I just, as a low hanging fruit and something that's not a high level hi-fi task, POAP could be like an easy thing to spin up quickly until Optimism have its own POAP thing.
Interesting. Thanks so much, Natalie. And yeah, I think all he said is manifesting inviting 50 million people to the group. So whenever you do that, we'll give you however many POAPs you want there for that.
I am not responsible for Natalie's activities. Oh, also last thing with POAP, you can do raffles. There's some other kind of use cases that you can do with POAP. You can airdrop people like an NFT, or they have like a certain POAP. Like, so I've used POAP in many different ways. So maybe a low-hanging fruit to explore in future weeks. So
Interesting. I see Tadas unmuted. Do you want to share something, Tadas?
Yeah, I looked a bit into, well, not very little into these POAPs, but when I was designing this respect token, the way it is designed is that it's both an entity and a transferable token. It has these two interfaces. So as an entity, respect token, basically, it can already act as proof of participation. Now, I'm not sure if how compatible it is with that particular proof of participation protocol. But as I understand, it's simple ERC-721 token, and yeah, respect token it uses that standard too. So I think you wouldn't maybe even need to issue a different type of token. The same respect token could act as a POAP, although I don't know how it would serve that purpose to say that, to track who invited how many people, but as proof of participation token, it could work.
Very interesting. Thanks for the more technical overview, and also thanks so much, Natalie, for bringing this up. I'm sure it seems like you have experience working with POAPs with maybe Pizza or one of the other initiatives you're working with, and I've attended several events that people gave out POAPs, and it works out quite well. Like it's very simple. It's one thing that's really nice about it is that people can just download an app on an iPhone or an Android, and then just like scan a code or put in a number. So it like they take care of a lot of those technical aspects that otherwise might make it difficult to use. I'm looking at the website now too. I guess I'll pull it up. I was pulling up the website before POAP to XYZ, and we're looking at all the fun art. And it says, technically speaking, POAPs are standard ERC-721 tokens minted on the POAP smart contracts. And for practical reasons, the smart contracts are currently governed by POAP Inc. And so there is like some level of centralization going on with POAPs, that like if we were to use POAPs, then you don't own the smart contract, I believe. So they could technically change it if they want to, I think, but also I'm not totally sure. But they do have an about page here where they have more details about what is POAPs, the protocol, proof of attendance protocol is what it's short for, as well as what is POAP.inc. And then you can look, it does look really cool too. Like that's something we've been talking about. Actually, I could probably find a page really quick where we've been aiming to make things that look like POAPs basically inside of the inside of like OpenSea interfaces. For example, there's a project here. It's called visibility. It's called Improve Visibility of Optimism Fractal. If I search for it over here, then it'll come up. Once again, not, oh, this guy mistyped it. Okay, and so we have this, and we have a little video here. We're talking about how the Optimism Fractal respect shows up in Block Explorers, and this is a month or two ago. So some things have changed a little bit here. Like Tadas found a different Block Explorer that works pretty well to show it better than the optimistic Etherscan version. But currently, like the respect shows up in Zora and in different apps like for example, this is Rainbow, and you can see I have a couple pull-ups from when I joined Hats Protocol and some other events here. But the Optimism Fractal one, it says like no. But pull-ups make it look really nice, where you can see like the description of the event and stuff like that. So that could be a great way to help promote the event, as well as reward people, or I suppose award people for helping to invite people. I'm not sure how composable it would be. Like it seems like it's a solution that makes it a lot easier and really nice, like in a lot of ways. Like this is amazing that it shows up like that. So I'm interested in using it. But also I know last week, I think Rosemary or Zaal had mentioned like, what if, for example, people could earn a little bit more respect, or maybe we don't use respect, but maybe we use something for like not just referring one-time person, but how do you make sure that you're referring somebody who's like contributing like consistently and maybe aligning incentives so people can earn like, I don't know, 5% of their respect or 5% of something or something like that. Yeah, quality contributors and so forth. So I don't know if we'd be able to build that with POAP, whereas if we were to build something like natively or like perhaps with respect or something, then perhaps we could like build in some incentive system there that's aligned for like quality contributions, because we want to grow the community for sure, but at the same time we also want to make sure that people who join the community are like here for the right reason, that they want to collaborate, that they want to help optimism, that they're not just there just to get cool pull-ups, I suppose. I mean, but of course, do we want to like, I suppose, give people good reasons and give people lots of awards and cool things too. So it just something we want to balance basically. And when we design that kind of incentive system, if we do, then we want to probably consider the best way to do that. So yeah, really interesting and curious if anybody has more ideas. Natalie, I saw you keeping a heart out and got lots of experience with POAPs, and I don't know if that technical overview was helpful. I haven't heard much from Seth or Rosemary during this. I know Rosemary was sharing, she says she liked the POAP idea in the chat, but oops. Sorry, for some reason another window just popped in front and I thought that Zoom closed or something on me. Apologies. Seth, I see you're muted. Do you want to share any thoughts?
Yeah, I like the POAP. Also have no opinion because I have no idea how much work that would require or how it would impact other like strategic goals. But I love POAPs. Also the idea of referral tokens or rewarding referral in some way totally makes sense to me. I guess like one thing I am kind of selfishly wondering about, which seems related to Zaal's question about or idea about there being different types of respect tokens. I'm curious if following through on what you say you're going to work on or do is reflected in respect tokens. Like let's say I say I'm going to tackle this issue for Optimism Fractal, and then I don't do the work, or I just work on something different because that's what I feel like working on. Does that lower on average my respect token, or is it really just independent and like just looking retroactively to reward whatever it is on its own?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Seth. Appreciate it. If anybody else wants to share, I know Tadas and Rosemary have thought about this a lot, so feel free to jump in, or if Natalie or Zaal, you want to share your thoughts, but I can go ahead first. So yeah, a couple things. One, it is mostly meant to be like a retroactive thing. It's like respect you earned, kind of like in the same kind of vein as retro PGF and retro public goods funding. And it's kind of more meant to be like, I mean, a lot of it comes down to culture, basically, like how the community wants to play the game and what kind of things that the community looks for. And in addition to just playing the respect game, there's also like a needed education and culture for a community. Like a community that doesn't have good culture, good education won't do nearly as well with it as a community that does. So generally, like if somebody says, "Hey, I'm gonna do this great thing," usually like sometimes people get respect for that because they're like, hey, that's a great idea, or hey, you did a little bit of work for that and that's great. But a lot of times myself and other people in the community would be like, okay, well that sounds really cool, but maybe this other person who did more actually this week deserves more respect for this week and for this month or whatever. And then once that person delivers and they receive more respect. So that kind of comes down to like cultural and decision making, and generally it's meant to be like kind of a retroactive thing. And then another point that's probably helpful to mention here too is that the smart contracts are currently designed, and kind of the original intention too of respect is that it's a community opinion, and so that community opinion can change. There are some contracts and some tokens that are immutable. There's many on in Web3 and Ethereum and so forth, but the idea, and it's possible there could be an immutable respect as well. But the idea of respect is that it's a community opinion, and opinions can change. So if if somebody said they're going to do a bunch of great stuff and then like they really didn't deliver at all, or if they wound up doing something that was bad or whatever, then the community could always use its consensus process to say, hey, that person earned a lot of respect, but actually we don't think they deserve it because they lied about it, or they were overhyping it or whatever. So that's something that's never happened before, and we've been doing this for a few years and that's never happened. But as the community grows, or if there's many different communities practicing this, then that is an option as well, that somebody could change their opinion about somebody's work like the community could change their opinion about somebody's work and change the amount of respect in the future.
So sorry, to be clear, like the community can go retroactively change the respect value or revoke the token.
Yes, although that's also open to
Okay.
design too, because I know like Tadas actually just wrote up like a week or two ago, he wrote up a document that maybe you could share more details about, but he had an interesting idea for how we could, instead of using a mutable smart contract, we could use immutable smart contracts and use them once for each season. And we're thinking about doing like a seasonal structure for like maybe a 12-week season or something like that. And then in that case, it could be like the community could decide which immutable smart contracts to like respect or to focus on in terms of using their retro PGF or whatever. So currently it's designed with a mutable smart contract, but it's possible to be designed with a immutable contract. In either case, it's all open source and stuff like that. So another community could fork it or something like that too and choose. And this is really open to the consensus process of Optimism Fractal. The original intention was that it would be immutable, but it would be mutable and changeable. But that could change if we think it's a better idea.
Yeah, the immutable smart contract idea was more about the actual code being immutable. Although you could make the smart contract such that you couldn't change the respect distribution. But currently, the way it's currently implemented is that owner of a smart contract would be able to change to burn someone's respect as well as to mint new respect outside of typical respect distribution based on respect gains. In the future, it should be consensus process of a community that is able to do these actions, mint or burn. I doubt that this is going to be used often because it's hard to reach consensus on such things, and usually it's not worth doing, even if it's like someone got the first place in one respect game. It's not even worth doing because respect game is played every week. So any particular like issuance it does not matter that much, but yeah.
Sorry, yeah, do we have any more time? Or
Yeah, there's still 4 minutes until the top of the hour, or until the top of the half hour, and then if we want to go for a bit longer, we can as well. If you want to add share more thoughts or more questions, Seth, then feel free.
I'll just shoot a super quick response, which is in Source Cred, which has been operation for a few years. We saw the same thing, basically like a lot of discussion about the ability to go back and change cred scores, but no one ever actually doing it. One thing I'm kind of curious about, but maybe this is save for later, is like, do you have problems with like really toxic people that like need to be removed? Or is the nature of the game such that if you have to show up and look at people, the toxic people go away? Because accountability is kind of like I guess what I'm getting at is that accountability is the more important issue than going back and changing scores that I see.
I just wanted to ask for clarification. Did you say all the tax people go away?
Toxic, sorry.
Toxic. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I could answer, but also I see Tadas unmuted there. I don't know, Tadas, you want to answer first, or should I go ahead?
You can go ahead.
Okay, sure. Well, first I also want to just provide a bit more color on the previous thing too. I think I'm pretty sure the way it works, like I'm pretty much positive, is that even if a community did decide to change their mind about something, it's still in the block explorer as an earlier block, which this was the respect at that time. So like you can never wipe away like the respect that was earned, say, today, or like you only change it for the future basically. But what's already been put in the block explorer from last week and from last month and stuff, that's in there forever basically. Just as a note. So if anybody ever did make a change, then they could always see what it was and then set that up with their own community or whatever prior to the change. And then as far as toxic, like people acting toxically, there hasn't really been much of that. I mean, I think this could change depending on the scale too. So like when Tadas was saying that in practice that hasn't really happened, and you were saying source credit hasn't really happened, like people have talked about it. And I don't know, I think source credit's been around for a lot longer than Optimism Fractal, and there's quite a lot of contributors from what I understand, but I still don't know, a lot of the details. But just in general, like Web3 is not that big right now, people who are using these kind of things. And so like the largest that we've ever had participating in kind of a fractal meeting, we had like a couple hundred people one time when it first started. And then there was several meetings that had, there was a bunch of meetings that had like 30 people or 40 people and 20 people and so forth. But a lot of times it's been between like 5, 10, 20 people and so forth. But the idea and the intention is that it's fractal so that thousands of people could use this and millions of communities could use this. And so I think a lot of these things that haven't happened yet, whether it be in Optimism Fractal or Source Cred or other communities, like it might change at scale because in the world you do have a lot of people who just like act mean to each other or whatever. So far we haven't had that much. There has been some experiences where there were like some kinds of conflicts, like I can say, and we thought about doing like a dispute resolution process. We've thought about that kind of thing for future planning. And like sometimes people got upset because they got a lower respect score than they thought they should and stuff like that. So there has been some like for sure some drama over the years, but generally there hasn't been too much though. Those cases have been very rare, and a lot of it again comes down to the culture. And then I'm sure it'll happen more in the future, but also it just up to us to have like a good dispute resolution system. That's something that's really important, I think, in the future, as well as to have good culture and everything like that. And then I don't know if that answered all your questions there, or if there's anything to go into more detail, but it hasn't happened too much, but something good to prepare for. And it does happen occasionally because sometimes people get too into the game, or sometimes people just are in their own world and stuff like that.
Yeah, that totally answers my question. Thanks.
Okay, cool. You're very welcome. Yeah, if you wanted to share any links to source code and stuff like that too, I remember I looked into it, but I don't know if you had the chance to look into it. So feel free if you want to share that in the Zoom chat, or if you want to tell anybody about it here before we go, or if you want to share it in the Discord chat so people can check it out later, that would be appreciated, as well as offer to open to everybody too. If you want to share any links in the Discord or wherever else, we love to help promote the work of all great public goods creators. I know everyone here is doing really cool stuff. We are at the scheduled end time, so don't mean to rush it, but I also want to be respectful of everybody's time. If anybody wants to share any more thoughts, I see Portland. Sorry, I see Seth shared a paper about ethnographic history of contribution system. Thank you, Seth. Did you want to explain a little bit more about this before we go, or should we wrap it up? And if you want, we can also explain it. We could also discuss it more.
Yeah, so that's just a deep dive into a little bit of the source code history. We had some ethnographers embedded with us, and they were there for a lot of the history, including a lot of drama and conflict. So yeah, juicy stuff if you're an ethnography nerd.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you very much for sharing that, Seth. I'll pull it up on the screen real quick so people can see it, and then also maybe I'll just give a little outro presentation, just so if we want to sign off at any time, then we can, and make sure everybody has time in their day. But yeah, basically, here is the link. I'm looking forward to looking into this. Sounds really interesting. The Cred Spearmint and Ethnography Contribution Systems. Perhaps maybe in a future meeting you can go over this in more detail with us too. We'd love to learn more because it's been a lot here. And also Source Cred too. That's one of the main projects we've been working on too. So I recommend people check out more at sourcecred.io and learn more. And then also I just wanted to thank everybody once again too. We'll be meeting again on next Thursday at 17 UTC. Please remember too, I know several different time zones are changing with daylight savings, so just please keep that in mind. Optimism Fractal is always at 17 UTC, unless it's changed in the future consensus process proposal, but it might be changing by an hour depending on where your time zone is at some point, but UTC stays the same. So we'll be meeting at 17 UTC on next Thursday and every Thursday thereafter, basically. Until some other proposal is passed, basically. So thanks everybody so much for joining the Optimism Fractal meeting. Really appreciate it very much. And I see Tadas said he has to go. Thanks for the great meeting. And I see Natalie was also saying something about working up, being able to interact with everything too on the technical side. But I'll stop the screen share, and I suppose we can wrap it up here too. Another thing we could do too is I'm happy to stick around on the video call too, and we'll stop the recording. But if anybody wants to just have kind of like a relaxed conversation about anything, then feel free to stick around. Happy to stick around for a little while to talk more. Does anybody have anything else you want to share before we close up the video? We got a heart from Natalie. It looks like Rosemary's good to go. I got a heart from Rosemary. All right, cool. Thanks so much, everybody. Really appreciate all the questions, Seth, and all the participation and all the great stuff you're doing. And Rosemary and Zaal and Natalie, I can count it down with a 3, 2, 1, go Optimism Fractal if everybody's up for that. And I just want to say thanks once again. Hope to see you next week. Lou.masters Optimism Fractal. It's been a wonderful time. 3, 2, 1, 0. Go Optimism
No, Optimism
Fractal.
Fractal.
All right. Thanks all. See you next time.